Hello, my name is Helen Redfern and I'm a writer, a blogger, Instagrammer and more recently a YouTuber. My channel has just reached the 1000 subscriber mark and I thought it might be interesting to share my YouTube journey with you for those of you wanting to start a channel or those of you wanting to grow your channel to get to that 1000 subscriber point. This video is not a how-to. I'm not going to give you a list of rules, but what I am going to do is share my journey with you and talk about the things I tweaked about 4 or 5 months ago and which led to an increase in subscribers. I created my YouTube channel 6 years ago, maybe a little bit over 6 years ago, but I didn't upload anything to it because A, I didn't know how, B, I didn't know what sort of things to upload, what subject matter I would talk about, and C, YouTube actually really scared me. The comments that you could get and the thumbs down, I just didn't have the courage needed to put my face on here. But after being on Instagram for some time, I gained a little bit of creative confidence. So 3 years ago, through Instagram actually, I found someone who did an online course all about how to film and edit videos, and this changed everything for me. I uploaded my first 15-second video to YouTube about 3 years ago and it's still there if you sort my videos according to age and put the oldest one on first, and you can see my very first videos, and it was a 15-second clip telling the story of, I think it was an early morning routine, and I put some music on it, and it was essentially a lesson from the course that I was doing, and I uploaded that to YouTube, and that is what started my journey. Then a short while later I uploaded a minute video. And then things just went quite ad hoc, admittedly, from there, and I uploaded lots of videos about the chickens and the ducks just because I liked filming them, and I liked doing a bit of slow motion or time lapse. I would share stories of the seasons. Then I started to do a video about a recipe, and then I did a writing video which actually did really well, but I didn't continue with it. Instead I would try lots of different things. I would come back to the ducklings. It was just generally very ad hoc. There would be some recipes, there would be some chickens, there'd be some ducks. Maybe I would come back to my writing a couple of times. I think I did a video on Instagram and how I created my pictures for Instagram, but there was no consistency, and I treated YouTube pretty much like I'd written my blog over the years. It was essentially a magazine of my life. It was what interested me at the time, and as a result my YouTube did not grow. I think it would have been different if I was a name, if I was a celebrity, but I wasn't. I was just somebody with a blog. So who's going to be interested in what I've got to say? I needed to get more specific, and this is something that I had rebelled against on my blog and on my Instagram for a very long time. I refuse to have a niche, and I've written blog posts about that. I do not want to have a niche, but it seems that with YouTube a niche helps you grow. I just want to touch on how I made the transition from being a blogger and being an Instagrammer to YouTube, like I said at the beginning of this video, YouTube really scared me, and I know from talking to other people through my Instagram stories that it scares a lot of you as well. So how did I make that transition? And I think by doing a course on editing and filming, it gave me confidence, because I knew kind of what I was doing from a technical perspective. So that gave me confidence. But I also in the beginning, I didn't take it too seriously, and I would experiment on Instagram. I mean, now on Instagram we've gone a long way from just uploading that square photograph, and you can play with IGTV, or you could put a video on your main feed, or you could even have a play in Instagram stories. And that is exactly how I started to gain more of my confidence with video. I would create a 30-second, 45-second or a minute video story of my morning, and it would often be the ducks coming out of the duck house first thing, or the chickens waking up, or going on a dog walk. And those little stories I would then edit together, so I would have practice on the editing software on my Mac. I was uploading videos every single day on my stories. It could have been 15 seconds, it could have been a minute. So it was just experimenting and finding my voice and learning how to edit. And learning how to edit with video is very much like learning how to edit with your stories that you write. You basically take out anything that's superfluous and you just want to move the story along. And this was a real learning curve for me, but I took it slow and steady. At that point, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'd love to have a YouTube channel. I was just playing around with it. I was playing around with it for art's sake, if that doesn't sound too pretentious, but just for the fun, just for learning and just finding ways to tell my story. I thought I would play some of my older videos in the background, and as you can see, a lot of it is chickens. But what I was doing here, I was playing with different viewpoints. So sometimes I would lie flat on the ground, sometimes I would film from above, sometimes I would do it in slow motion, sometimes I'll do it in time lapse. And it was basically just playing around with it and just gaining confidence. The more, it's a cliche, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And I can see the ducks flapping their wings in the background. So yeah, Instagram, it's such a good place to learn, and I thoroughly recommend it. And even if you don't get a lot of views on there, it doesn't matter. This is when you experiment and try new things, and I don't think this step can be skipped. And I kind of think you have to fall in love with the whole filming and editing process. That's me. So yeah, I was doing a lot on Instagram, but I think as much as it was helping me develop in confidence, I started a weekly writing vlog, and I decided to do that on IGTV rather than YouTube. Even though I had developed all these different skills now, I still put it on IGTV because I had the audience on Instagram. I had around 16,000 followers on Instagram, and I thought I wanted that kind of immediate consumption by viewers. But in reality, I was just hiding from YouTube, and I'd got to the point now where I needed to take the plunge, and I needed to start doing YouTube properly. So that's what I did. It was a year ago. It was the end of October in 2018, and I decided, right, that's it. I am going to upload weekly to YouTube and start growing my account. It became one of my goals, one of my strategies. And initially, it didn't grow, and it made me a little bit despondent. So there were weeks at a time where I didn't upload, because I just assumed as soon as I started uploading videos that the growth would come, and it did a little bit. And yes, I did get some growth coming over from my Instagram, but it's not as much as you think it would be in terms of people coming over from one medium to another. You do have to find a completely brand new audience. And yeah, it's daunting and it's overwhelming. And if you have built up an audience on Instagram, and maybe you've got to that 10,000 follower mark so you can get the swipe up function and various other bits and bobs, and you feel it's been such a slog to get there, and now I'm saying to you that if you want to start at YouTube, you're going to have to start from scratch again, and you think, do you have that in you? And I would say yes, you do. You do have that in you. So anyway, I transferred all my writing vlogs from IGTV onto YouTube, and they were still in the portrait format. And then I started filming my writing vlogs in landscape and doing them specifically for YouTube. And guess what? My views were a lot lower than they were when I put them up on IGTV. It's part of the course. And even though I would put them in my stories with a swipe up, you still don't get as many views as I did with IGTV. It's just a fact of life. So we're now in October, November and December of last year, and I was pretty much, again, I was doing recipes, I was doing book reviews, I was doing my writing vlog with lots of sort of outtakes of the chickens and the ducks in. I did a video about my writing desk, I did a video about my office, and gradually I started to notice certain things. But it wasn't until this summer I did a recipe for rock cakes, and it pretty much didn't get very many views. And that's when I realized that the people who were subscribing to me weren't subscribing to me for cake, they were subscribing to me for the writing side of things. And it was time for me to focus in on the writing side of things and stop doing all this other stuff. I stopped doing my vlog because they weren't getting any traction, and I decided to make my videos, rather than time-based, so doing a week in the life of a writer, which is what my vlog was, I started to make them project-based. So I started to talk about my writing process, and this is going back to the first video I did about editing my novel, and it did really well, and then I did nothing with it. I went back to that, and the next but one video after that horrendous rock cake video, that was all about my outlining process for my novel. That is currently on 2,500 views, and compare that to the rock cake video, which was around 90 views. Now it's just over 100, so it still hasn't grown. Whereas my writing ones and my novel writing ones ever since then have always done really well. Even though I have rebelled against having a niche with my blog and a niche with my Instagram, I have very reluctantly seen that if I would like to grow on YouTube, I need to have a niche, and so my YouTube became all about my writing and everything based around that. So my planning, how I plan out what projects I do, how I use Instagram as a writer, how I use my notebooks as a writer. So everything is all to do with me being a writer, and a lot of that is also admitting to myself that I'm a writer as well. If you want to grow on YouTube, it turns out that narrowing down your subject matter could be, and not always, but could be a very good way of growing your channel, and that's certainly what helped for me, because when I did that writing one, I also put it on my blog, and I also created a pin for Pinterest. I put that pin on Pinterest, it was picked up, it went viral for me, it went viral, and it brought people to my blog, and then those people would watch the video, and from that, some of them would subscribe to my channel. So there's 2 tips for you. First of all, get specific on your subject matter, but also if you've got a blog, put your videos on your blog, make a pin for them, put them on Pinterest, because that is how I have grown my channel. I've had my channel seriously for a year. However, I only got specific with it in the last 3 or 4 months. And since the last 3 or 4 months, my subscribers have just gone up. And I think by having that niche, by having that specific subject, you also become a lot more searchable. So now people can type into the YouTube search bar, and bear in mind that YouTube is a search engine, so they can type in the YouTube search bar writing office, or planning for writers, or novel writing tips, or editing tips, or writing with index cards. They can put that in the search bar, and somewhere in there my videos will appear. So it all helps, it all helps. Which brings me back to the vlogs that I did earlier in my YouTube journey. They weren't searchable. People were looking for specific answers to their questions, or specific inspiration, and yeah, looking for inspiration. I don't think you put in writing vlogs. That is essentially my YouTube journey condensed a lot. What I'm thinking of doing is creating a series of videos all about my experiences with YouTube. So this is the first one, kind of my background, my YouTube journey and what has helped me. And then some of the suggestions that I've been given by the people that are interested on Instagram, how to create a channel. So we're talking about real back to basics stuff, how to create a channel in the first place, the basics of editing, what to film and how to film, how to upload, how to come up with ideas and scripts, overcoming fear of trolls. I don't think that fear ever goes away, and fear of looking at and listening to yourself. And again, that's still something I often cringe at, and you've got to feel for me. I'm now going to have to wade through about 20 minutes of footage looking at myself and trying not to cringe. But these are just some of the ideas that I'm thinking of tackling for a series of YouTube videos. So if you have any questions, pop them in the box below and I will add them to my list. And over the next few months, I will start tackling all these different questions. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this interesting and enjoyable. If you did, give it a thumbs up and click on the subscribe button and you would make me very happy. thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye for now. Bye.